is up and welcome to the Transparency. Let's begin.
Ben, we've been going through these court documents and we can tell you some of the details are explosive. Prosecutors say they have DNA evidence that can help prove their case. Prosecutors say they have DNA evidence linking Karen Reed to the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. New court documents show the state police crime lab discovered the victim's DNA present on the broken taillight and microscopic pieces of red and clear apparent plastic located in the victim's clothing. They say it was consistent with the broken pieces of plastic from the defendant's right rear taillight. Reed is accused of hitting O'Keefe and leaving him to die outside a Canton home in 2022. Prosecutors say she went back the next morning and said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." The latest court filing also reveals voicemails and texts prosecutors believe point to problems in their relationship. Prosecutors say Reed is on a voicemail screaming, "John, I expletive hate you." They also say she calls him a pervert and accuses the victim of expletive, another girl. Reed has pleaded not guilty to murder and motor vehicle homicide charges. Her defense lawyers say she's a victim of a police cover-up. They claim O'Keefe was beaten inside the home and attacked by a dog, then left outside. Prosecutors say they sent evidence to a veterinary forensic laboratory that concluded there was no canine DNA associated with the swabs taken from the victim's clothing in the areas of the victim's injuries. Prosecutors have also said human hair found on the back of Reed's SUV is undergoing DNA testing. Now, we did reach out to Karen Reed's attorneys and did not hear back. Now, this case has attracted the attention of a local blogger known as
Alrighty, and good morning, guys. How we feeling? Karen Reed case. We're going to start covering it now to talk about everything that we'll be covering when we are actually in just outside the Boston area next week for the big hearing. This is going to be crucial for Karen Reed's case because this is about disqualifying the prosecution as far as like the DA's office. This is also about sanctions. This is also about they are filing a motion and they already have to dismiss have to get their, if they want to amend anything and they want to add new material. They've had since the time that they've left the courthouse at the end of February there, the 26th, to put together their amended motions, exhibits, things of that nature, get it on into the courthouse, and a big hearing March 12th. That was supposed to be the day the trial was going to start, but March 12th is going to be a huge day of oral arguments on an array of topics heading into then the trial that was then pushed back to April 16th. So I want to start a little bit from the beginning here. And John O'Keefe lost his life January 29th, 2022. Karen Reed's defense team did not get all of the discovery, allegedly all the discovery, until June 10th of 2022. So you got February, March, April, May, 4 months. A grand jury indicted Karen Reed. Now, what is outstanding today as far as discovery goes? How Karen Reed's defense team was able to even put together the pieces to show this cover-up or this alleged cover-up was from this discovery. So they took right here the grand jury notes, which would be the transcripts from the grand jury. Go ahead and make this just a tad bigger. So when they received all the grand jury minutes, the transcripts, they had access to that. Then they had access to, obviously, the incident reports, 911. This is what they said they had access to. This is what was in the Commonwealth's discovery. They list everything. I mean, it goes and lists literally $127, the way they divided it all up, 127 pieces on how they did it. Now, there's obviously like there's way more pieces per subsection, but so for example, 5 pages made up the receipts of McCarthy's bar. Now, it would be from this discovery that Yannetti would file back August 1st saying, hey, so they got their initial discovery on June 10th, August 1st, hey, we're missing some things that you've allegedly given us. And something that they really wanted is they wanted the original form and not in PDF, and that was specifically the photographs of the crime scene. That would be number 18 of that long list of 132. They still were without the warrant, the arrest warrant. They were still without that. Again, this happened on August 1st when he said, hey, you have to compel. He was like, you have to compel with these items. They still were missing the crime scene report from the police crime laboratory. There was 3 pages there. They didn't have evidence submission forms for 2, 3, and 4. There was like a list of 6. They still were without at that time the Cellbrite extraction of Jen, McCabe, Carrie Roberts, John O'Keefe, and Jennifer. Then McCabe's, I guess there was a different Cellbrite extraction report from January 28th and 29th. They were without, again, John O'Keefe's phone calls with Karen Reed, voicemails. And now remember, you just heard in that clip to start off this live that the prosecution's talking about these voicemails and Karen Reed calling John O'Keefe explicit and that you're fucking another girl and stuff like that. Now, surveillance videos, and then most notably here, the defendant specifically requests that photographs in their original form and not in PDF file. The defendant also specifically requests the Canton Public Library video because there was parts missing. And so the things that they went ahead and listed when they went back through, they're like, we don't have these things that you listed. So after that happened in August, this is when in September 2022, they started putting things together. They started realizing we have issues. We have issues, and we need to get a timeline down here because, as you can see, this is September 15th, 2022, September 16th, September 15th. These are all filings, and then this would come back on February 1st, 2022 or 2023 from these CRIM 14 and 17 filings for discovery. Now, this is where they started questioning the timestamps. They wanted written confirmation from law enforcement as to whether the digital timestamps on photographs taken in connection with this case are accurate and correct. Okay. Including but not limited to all the crime scene photos and videos taken using and listing these cameras. In the event that the date and times of any of the photographs taken in connection with the case are incorrect, please immediately provide written confirmation as to the calibration of those devices. So they're on to them in terms of, yo, why are you gathering evidence at the crime scene on the 29th? And then, wait, what's this on the February 4th, February 8th, February 12th? Are these accurate? Are these accurate timestamps? Again, they're putting a case against Karen Reed. You're going to have to explain your timeline of events. Now, they went back and forth, and this ring camera, This would be February 1st, 2023. They're saying that they are still without the Ring camera footage in its entirety. And here they're like, listen, we need you to include the application for this warrant, the affidavit and the return. We want that letter. We want everything that came from Ring in its entirety. Okay, they want the complete production from Ring, which would have included a cover letter also along with property information. Because this Ring camera footage from John O'Keefe's house is extremely valuable, okay? Because what it is going to depict is that's going to be, and to show that Karen Reed's back tail light, okay, was smashed out when she was backing up, okay, to leave his house, but then they never took her car over to his address that morning. Talking about the Albert's house. She just took it over to Robert's house and then they all drove together. So Karen Reed's vehicle never went back to the Albert's residence at 34 Fairview. And that's going to be really important at trial. Again, going back to the Ring footage, during a Zoom meeting that took place, this is how the defense, it's like the prosecution kept like telling on themselves of the stuff that they had. And it was during a Zoom meeting that there was more information provided about this ring and about how much Ring footage they actually had. And so here it is clear that some of the surveillance footage is missing and or has not been provided by the Commonwealth to the defense. They are videos that have been produced which depict John O'Keefe's vehicle in different positions. I want to see this. I want to see what they're referring to when they're talking about his vehicle in different positions. Because one of my theories with this case involved them attempting to go over, did he have his car keys on him? Were they thinking of possibly getting in his car and moving it and putting it somewhere with O'Keefe's body in it somewhere? Like what was going to be their original plan? Because I don't believe that Karen Reed backed up and hit him. And there's evidence as to why I don't believe that. There's eyewitnesses that were there that did not see his body laying there. Not to mention, I said, just all of the phone records and the timestamps of the reporting of the officers. But I want to know what they're talking about here with the different positions of his vehicle, John O'Keefe's. Yet not videos of the vehicle having been moved in the interim. So basically, given that the Ring cameras are motion activated, there are videos still to be provided. So this was something that they just weren't turning over. And yet in June of 2022 said that they had turned it all over. Then told on themselves in a January 2023 Zoom meeting. And then that's where this got put back on the chopping block. So now, there would be a lot of motions that would get denied by our lovely Judge Bev. So moving on to the next point I want to show is they wanted all information, and this was that September 15th, they wrote this up and it was filed on the 16th of 2022. They wanted all information that pertained to communication as to when and how the Massachusetts State Police got involved. So based on what I saw they were asking for, it was all heavy to do with which agency first notified the Massachusetts State Police about the investigation into the death of John O'Keefe. Now, going back to, let me see. This original discovery disclosure, June 10th, right here, these grand jury minutes, aka transcripts of everybody that testified, the stuff that would be said by witnesses and police at the grand jury are then extremely heavily incorporated in all of the exhibits moving forward with the defense. And I want to point some of those out. So that's where they're getting, when they're saying that there's this grand jury testimony, and when they're showing these exhibits, that's where it's coming from. The big truth bombs that started coming out was this timeline of leaving the waterfall bar and getting to and being invited to this after party. When they finally got their hands on the material from these extractions, they point out this dialect. Because the state's case, before Turtle Boy got involved and before it was like kind of like a, you know, blown up and went national in like a fire fucking spitstorm, the simplest version is what's the state going to present against Karen Reed that says a jury's going to come back and say that Karen Reed did this, okay? And you're going to keep it basic and simple, and you're not going to be calling to the stand people that you do not need to call to the stand. They're going to try to use the first responding officers as much as possible to say what they heard Karen Reed say to them, or that they were standing there. But you're going to try to limit these outside, you know, other witnesses that aren't medical responding, police, fire, the ME. These experts are going to talk about his, his wounds. Then they're going to use their expert with the phones. But what type of case is the prosecution going to put on to say and get beyond a reasonable doubt that Karen Reed did this? Well, I think if the defense shows that it gives enough of like a presentation that Karen Reed's taillight was busted because when she backed up to go look for him, but the car never went over to that area, that's when her taillight was busted. When you're going to show that there's missing pieces of the ring coming home, which could have gotten and shown that she didn't have a busted taillight when she came home. Things like that. That's reasonable doubt to say, okay, that not only did you guys not find anything, immediately, but here there's a really healthy possibility of this, and that's reasonable. So, but this right here began the whole look at, they're talking, pull up behind me. John O'Keefe's there, they're there. Then she says she leaves, meaning Karen Reed, because he didn't come out within the 10 minutes. So this is what kind of starts this whole, okay, we got to get more information out of these phones. We got to look at these timestamps with her vehicle. Now, what I think is going to come out at trial that's going to be just amazing is Brian Albert's sister, Julie Albert, and this coming out at the grand jury and within police reports. Check this out. Brian Albert's sister, Julie Albert. Okay, so Brian Albert's the homeowner. His sister, Julie Albert, also appeared at Brian Albert's residence that morning, the next morning. Julie Albert testified at the grand jury that she went to Brian Albert's house at around 8:30 a.m. on January 29, 2022, to drop off Dunkin' Donuts for Brian Albert Jr. because it was his birthday. She explained that when she got there, Brian Albert insisted that she come inside and told her there had been an accident. My favorite ladies, what is up, Tom? Tom CPU, baby! Ooh, ooh, ooh. I can't wait to see you, Tom. I can't wait to buy you a beverage, maybe 5. Phenomenal. You could be my videographer any day. Love it when you are on site. Yes. Kiss is back. Kiss is back. So again, right here though, Julie Albert testifying. However, in her prior statement, so she talked to the grand jury saying what she just said there. However, in a prior statement to Sergeant, they call him Bukaki, and Sergeant Tully on February 10th, Miss Albert accidentally let it slip that she actually found out about John dying when her phone woke her up at 4:55 a.m. to a call from Jennifer McCabe. This is crucial. Okay, this is part of the evidence and exhibits that they were showing good old Bevy. Okay. Yeah, share that. Let everybody know. Come on over. So this is crucial. If I'm sitting on the jury and I hear, wait a second, in a police report from a cop that this woman said that she actually found out when Jen McCabe called her at 4:55 in the morning that John had died. That's before Karen Reed ever got even back to the house to be able to do the calling with the 911 with McCabe, all that stuff. This to me right here is reasonable doubt. It also is like, holy shit, we can go the third party culpability defense, but you have your reasonable doubt. And I don't see how, if this can be proven with phone records and that call did in fact take place at 4:55, because why would it be in a police statement? But this right here, this is just Wowsville. This is wow, right? So anybody that's out there that wants to just talk about the facts and what to expect at trial, the state is going to keep it, they're not going to, if this becomes a circus, they don't win. So if you want to look at it from the state, from the Commonwealth, they cannot let this become a circus. Okay. So this was in a motion here, put in September 15th, 2022. And this was so that the defendant's motion for order pursuant to, now remember, Alan Jackson said he's going to be filing hella 14s and 15s. Okay. Those are based on the rule of criminal discovery. So, and he's going to be filing hell of them. They filed this back September 15, 2022. It was denied back then. Okay. This got denied. And it said that, they didn't meet X, Y, and Z. But, okay, because they wanted to get more information on people's, these devices. This is when you go then to the, I guess you could say the Attorney General's office. I guess you could say, hey, like, what the hell's going on here? This totally meets the criteria, and we're getting denied. Best part about it is there's more. This is what the defense is saying they can prove. They're saying we need this stuff because a timeline of the recovery of evidence is crucial, right? According to this supplemental report prepared by Canton Police Sergeant Michael Lank, remember I put this all in my timeline. After first responding secured the scene on January 29th, shortly after 6 a.m., all of these dudes, they were there and they tried to gather as much evidence as possible. And guess what? They were even using an over-the-counter leaf blower. I can't wait till that comes out in a courtroom, that you were using a leaf blower. At the grand jury, again, now they're going to go back to the grand jury and say, when Good testified that he and his team spent approximately 2 hours using the leaf blower to clear off the crime scene. The morning they removed, the only evidence that they had was one, it was a clear broken drinking glass, and then 2 6 blood droplets in solar red cups. Okay. Then you're going to have Alan Jackson going to town when he is going to rip apart that this is what y'all did on the 29th, the 3rd, the 4th, the 8th, the 10th, the 11th, the 18th. These are the dates. And now we go back, and now do you want to know why they were asking, hey, are these timestamps correct on these pictures with these cameras that y'all are taking? Okay. I couldn't imagine going through this discovery and being like, what the fuck is this shit? Wait, they were taking shards back at this date, this date, this date? And then let's continue. So there was no red. There were no clear and red combined consistent with taillight. So again, now we're going to talk about the planting of the evidence, or how they're going to be able to show that it was possible. Because again, if you're going to create a circumstantial case against me, I'm going to create a circumstantial case against them. So if Commonwealth's going to come at me, this is all circumstantial. You don't have any eyewitnesses saying, that I hit him and backed up my car. And in fact, you actually have witnesses that say that the body wasn't there. But more importantly, the one piece of evidence that you're going to try to link me to is with my taillight. Well, then we're going to go after the taillight. And is it going to be enough to show the jury that there's a reasonable doubt that, okay, here, they needed to collect all this taillight, this alleged taillight, over all of these days. This is how this was gotten to, all right? But what happened in order to have these little pieces that they planted along the way? And that's what this is. That's what this talks about. And right here, which is the discrepancy in time. So again, when you have to file for affidavits, you have to put your timestamps on things, your reports, everything like that. And it was based on their own work, their own reporting. So there was a report, according to his sworn affidavit, upon arriving at 4:30 p.m. on January 29th, Trooper Proctor claims that he noticed that the right rear passenger side taillight of Miss Reed's vehicle was shattered and a large red plastic piece was missing from the taillight. According to his sworn affidavit, at approximately 5:30 p.m., Sergeant Bukaki and I seized the black Lexus, meaning that it was towed, and it was towed by Diamond Towing Transport. Thus, Trooper Proctor claimed that the seizure and subsequent towing of the vehicle did not occur until 5:30. Well, guess what? We have issues with that. And what they're going to show is that they have 1 hour and 18-minute issue with it. Because here, Kevin O'Hare, who is part of the team leader of the Massachusetts State Police Special Emergency Response Team, he received a call from State Police Lieutenant Brian Tolley on the afternoon of January 29th, stating he did not have authorization to dispatch yet, but was going to need assistance searching the evidence on the roadway in front of the residence located at 34 Fairview Road. Subsequent reports confirmed that at 5:30 p.m., that is when the team, along with Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully from the Massachusetts State Police, conducted a second search. This time, police recovered 3 pieces of red clear plastic from the exact same area that Lank and the colleagues searched, and there was nothing there. Now, security footage, though, taken from Miss Reed's parents' residence, establishes that Miss Reed's actual black Lexus SUV was towed from the driveway not at 5:30, but at 4:12 p.m. So Trooper Proctor's affidavit is faulty. That altered timeline means that both the Lexus as well as Trooper Proctor would be unaccounted for during the entirety of that 1 hour and 18-minute gap. Now, is that enough to then show, oh, amazing, here we go. Let's go back and look at what y'all found. And when you found it. Also, let's go back and take a look at, in the original first ever notice of here, this is our discovery. Here's everything for you. This was filed June 10th. Okay, June 10th. when you go and you take a look at copy of Massachusetts State Police, this unit report and diagram. You'd want that. You'd want to see what that was because they were there. But was he in the capacity of what capacity when they did the second search? More importantly, when you're talking about all these two, then you have 3, 4, 5, 6, all these 7. Now you go back and you take a look at this. Which back all the way, what was the date of this? September 16th, 2022. They stated that if we do not have this stuff all the way back here, this is going to delay this trial from starting. And what we're in 2024. And what did they say that they didn't have? Phone records. If we don't have this stuff, it's going to delay it. They knew it back then because they're dragging their ass. They knew that they had stuff and they just weren't turning it over. And then whatever they were actually doing with it, I mean, fuck, shit, who knows? Now, there's an email that will go out, and that takes place March 16th, 2023. Do you know that they didn't have Karen Reed's phone? As discussed, we need a copy of Miss Reed's cell phone ASAP. March 2023. Like, are you guys kidding me? No. Then check this out. Crime scene photos. Here we go. Most recently, they wanted, there's no question with the DNA right now. Where is right here? Take a look at this. This is my favorite. And I know why they need it. January 5th, 2023. Boom. You confirmed that you spoke with member Kevin O'Hare on 2 separate occasions and that he represented to you that CERT team does not take photographs as part of their typical procedure. You also confirmed that O'Hare independently checked his file to ensure no such photographs existed. You also indicated that you've spoken with Lieutenant Tully yesterday, January 4th, and that he verified that he took crime scene photos from the CERT team search and that he will be placing those on a flash drive for production to us, which you should receive as early as tomorrow. We eagerly await this production. And that's a typo. It should be January 16th, 2023, by the way. Boom. I want to see the pictures and the timestamps of and from that dude right there. Now, let's see. All right, so I went ahead and I put together what I believe this one. All right. This is another witness that's going to really, really hurt the prosecution. Your Julie Nagel driver. Whoop, 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 whoop. We need to start doing some Jameson. Right here. So this whole requesting a phone or a ride home, this guy is going to crush and hurt the prosecution based off of the timestamps. So again, according to Mr. Nagel, he and his friend and girlfriend arrived approximately 15 minutes later to pick up his sister, Julie. And nope, you could not see a body laying there. They saw her SUV, so it's there. Karen Reed's in the driver's seat. Nobody's in the passenger seat, which would, indicate he's in the house because he wasn't seen out on the side of the road and they didn't see her running him over. Okay. Eventually unable to convince his sister to go into the car and leave, he and his friend left and they pulled up past the SUV. And right here, they observed Karen Reed with her hands at 10 and 2 allegedly, and he testified in the grand jury that he did not see a passenger inside the vehicle or anywhere else in the surrounding area of the vehicle. He further testified that he did not observe any damage to the vehicle and testified that the car's taillights were intact and undamaged. So, again, what is the state going to say and who are they going to use? Because the only people that the state are going to try to use, I'm telling you, are law enforcement. Now the defense can then put on a defense after the state rests. But do we think the Commonwealth, who are they going to be calling to the stand? They're not going to be calling the Alberts. They're not going to be calling, shit. They may have to call Jen McCabe, but you would try to do everything not to call her. Is she needed? But the case has nothing to do with Jen McCabe except for maybe one or two sentences where they're gonna, she's gonna say, "Did I hit him? Did I hit him?" but we already have an officer that put it in a report early on that he overheard, like that he heard that. So are they going to let him testify to hearsay? I mean, no. If it wasn't said to you in an interview, it's hearsay, right? But so you want to make, if you're the Commonwealth, you're going to use your Emmy, who's going to describe the injuries that are consistent with dragging of a vehicle. You're going to use her car. You're going to use Karen Reed's data. You're going to use John O'Keefe's data. But who is going to get up there and say how 3 sets of flights of stairs, was there a Stairmaster in the middle of that driveway and somebody was on it? I mean, how do you get 3 flights of stairs? I cannot believe that they would want to go forward with this. I want them to go forward with it because I want it on a full national display of corruption. And this is what it looks like. And for those of you guys out there that don't think it happens, you're out of your fucking mind. Like this, as much as I guess Karen Reed would want her case to be dismissed, you can't get all this stuff out there, but then you're leaving, your fate in the hands of jurors, right? That could potentially put you behind bars. So for me, it's like, that's a scary ass concept that like we could potentially put all this forward and Commonwealth put on their case. And then these jurors come back and they say guilty. So, it would be hard to convince me if I was in Karen Reed's position to, well, hey, they want to dismiss it. Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Like, obviously dismiss it. Like, there's, but I would want, like, how much stuff that we don't even have? But the states or the Commonwealth filed 301 pages with hell of exhibits. It was just a 25-page motion with hell of exhibits saying why it's actually been, Karen Reed's defense and Turtle Boy that have turned this simple prosecuting of Karen Reed, because this is exactly what she did, is run him over, into making it into this big old conspiracy that never happened. So I'm trying to say, if you take out Turtle Boy and you stick with the facts, okay, everything that the defense is bringing forward up until the recent stuff, that's why I wanted to go all the way back to the beginning. When you go back to the beginning of this case, before things start getting crazy heated and filing with like everything that's after April of 2023, that's when it gets convoluted heavily with, the AGs, Turtle Boy, all that stuff. But if you go and you look at this case from January 29th, 2022, up until March 16th, 2023, that's where everything's at. That's why the fallout has happened. But it's because of all the discovering and what they did between January 29th and March 16th. And pretty much even before that. Like, I'm just saying March 16th to be kind with that date. But I think by February 1st, when they did that filing of 2023, they knew. They knew it all. Remember, it's not Karen Reed's burden to prove that she didn't do it. It's Commonwealth. They have that burden. I'm just interested into seeing who they call, because I think people are going to be really, really surprised. Like, the calling of these witnesses aren't going to be by the Commonwealth. They don't have to. and you're not going to subject yourself to that. I think that you'd be a fucking idiot if you did. And they're going to be very picky on who they pick, law enforcement wise. But that's the part that people should be thinking about right now. And then what's happening right now is to see what's even going to be admissible and what's not going to be admissible to even use. But if people think that the Commonwealth's going to call Jen McCabe to the stand and Matt McCabe to the stand and the Alberts and absolutely, that's not what's going to happen. It's not what's going to happen at all. I'll be shocked. That's going to happen when the state or when they rest, when the Commonwealth rests their case. How then Alan Jackson goes about it and Yannetti. But there's no way that they're putting, and honestly, if I was Adam, fucking ripping buds, Adam, I would lean way more heavily on using Carrie Roberts, and I don't even know if I'd be calling Jen McCabe if I could get around that. But so who's going to testify as to why they ever showed up there to the house party? But Carrie Roberts might be they're going to be called, but I just don't think they're going to be called by the Commonwealth. They're going to try to do everything through law enforcement, and they're going through their reports right now and figuring out who they can go, McCabe called 911, so they could introduce the 911 call through the dispatch, not so they don't have to use her to do that, to say, is this you calling? Why did you call and stuff like that? I think that they could introduce that 911 call for the dispatch. So you got this, let's say right now everything's in. Let's say that, good old Bev isn't popping her pills and zoning out and everything's in. I think they open up with the first responders. Then they're going to talk about who was in command, like who was their commanding officer, who they report to. Then they're going to bring in Proctor, and when he was called in and how he was, called into the to the crime scene, and they're going to quite possibly lead off with the ME after the 911 call, the dispatch, to say, because at first they weren't going to arrest Karen Reed, right? If it was like an accident or whatever. So the ME has 76-page report that's in, that this person's putting their name behind and their career behind, to say that this is from somebody being hit with a vehicle and drugged. So, what do you think there, Tom? What do you think? Think they're going to call Grant to the stand? I heard that Grant was telling you that he was number one, Tom. He was like, I'm number one, baby. So, Tom, are you going to come to the tailgate? Tom says, I hope it makes it that far. Where Grant's telling you he's number one. How many times do you think Grant's going to tell you he's number one on Tuesday? Let's take a look at that. You got a really good video of a guy falling over, by the way, too. Like you, I'd love to see the truth be asked. Yeah. I knew you'd like that, Tom. Grant telling you he's number one. But yeah, when you go back to the beginning and you look at the filings, and you stick to everything from basically when they got the discovery, so June 10th, 2022, so then that next 8, 9, 10 months, that's where you're getting a clear a clear picture and of what really happened and when people started making the decision that, okay, we're going to cover this up. And I think the best cover up would have been just not charging anybody with this crime. You know, not knowing truly what happened. There was no one that said, hey, we have to press charges on Karen Reed. Otherwise what? If you guys got that much pull and you guys are that powerful, then you don't have to fucking arrest anybody. So why wouldn't it just be that, you know, there was no pressure from O'Keefe's family at that time, you know? So. Yeah. I wish people had the ability to read the submitted paper. The paper submitted only proves Karen is factually innocent. Hell yeah. And that's where it's gonna be interesting. That's where I love trials in this type of mindset strategically. How in the world is Adam going to prosecute this case and not leave his witnesses up and on that stand just to get completely obliterated? And maybe Adam is thinking to himself, okay, well, hey, I'm not going to leave my my police officers out there to get fucked. So therefore, maybe he is going to go with these witnesses and let them speak and let them lie up there, not police officers. So that could also be a strategy in the sense of like, dude, I'm not committing perjury. I'm not going to be involved in this shit. Like, I didn't realize what was going on at the time. So yeah, you know, I did a couple things, but looking back at it, I shouldn't have done. But I don't believe that you know, a ton of people could be in on, you know, a cover up. This is something that they decided on not prior to, unless you think that they lured John O'Keefe there to then beat his ass. But then how would you know that Karen Reed isn't coming into the house? When they realized that Karen Reed didn't remember things, that's when the plan changed. So I believe that they were going to try to say that he got hit by a plow. That he got hit by walking, you know, something along those lines, that he got, you know, it was just a hit and run by somebody other than Karen Reed and somebody like not in that house. So why that was never the plan blows my mind away. And maybe, you know, because for being police officers and claiming to know how investigations work, this is the fucking dumbest shit I've ever seen, to be honest. How anybody thought that they would get away with this. But I believe that you would have had you not arrested Karen Reed for murder. If you don't arrest Karen Reed, I don't think that anybody is saying a damn thing. Oh my God, yes, it was great. F you, Bev is still a little bit more, oh God, yeah, fuck you, Bev. You know, I really want to know what Higgins felt the need to go to Canton, that's the ATF guy, why Higgins would go back and go into the office at 1:30 in the morning. Explain that to me. Explain who goes and does that. I was able to get a picture back in the day of O'Keefe's wristband when he got in and was put into the hospital. Okay? Because you're going to have one hell of a time trying to explain O'Keefe's phone. Why is O'Keefe's phone running all over the place? Anybody want to explain that to me? How are they going to explain that? Yeah. He's like, here you go. I'm going to file 301 pages. 301 pages. Look at how perfectly. But that'll be interesting if the taillight shows that it's intact. Because I wouldn't think that it would, but that's interesting. Because if it hit his vehicle. I struggle with this one. I keep going back and forth on if she's guilty or innocent. I want to see the facts. So Jen McCabe's going to have to answer questions that are going to be like, so you deleted your mess. You deleted making the 911 call. She took a screenshot. She put a new contact in her phone. Then she shared a contact. Are you normally up all night running around? Did you blow coke that night? Like, why are you up running around? You know what is interesting though? I will say this. Jennifer McCabe's cell phone does not go up or down. I'll say this. It does not go up any flights of stairs all that night until she gets home at her residence. That's the first time that McCabe's phone goes up a flight of stairs. And to me, that is fucking interesting. Because I can believe this. And when I say that her phone, nor her watch, she had a watch on, which is so important. So she had double ways that she was being tracked. Jen McCabe has her cell phone that's got the health data on it, but she also had her watch on. And she is literally, does not go up any flights of stairs. So when John O'Keefe went up those 3 flights, she didn't. There's no flights that she went up when she was at that house, 34 Fairview. So Jen McCabe, when she could be possibly saying things like, where are you? Hello. I believe that actually indicates to me that when he came in, was she in the bathroom? Where was she? Because it wasn't like she went downstairs, walked back upstairs, go downstairs. Well, she doesn't go upstairs. She does not go up or down any flights of stairs. Whereas John O'Keefe goes down or goes up 3 flights of stairs in a 2-minute period. So the best way that I envision this being an investigator is that when I go and get in my car and I'm about to go do something and I'm about to leave my house and I realize, oh shit, I don't have my watch on. I need to get out of my car. I need to go run in the house, go upstairs, get my watch, come back down. And then my son's like, oh, I need my iPad. Are you serious? Where is it? I left it upstairs. Okay, I'm running back in the house and I'm going and getting his iPad, running back down, and then getting back in the car. Well, that's 2 times of going up a flight of stairs. 2 times. John O'Keefe's phone did it 3 times in a matter of 2 minutes and 13 seconds. So think about, that's his phone. So let me back up. His phone went up 3. So if he comes down in the basement and then somebody grabbed his phone and they go up with his phone, his phone literally is doing that. So not necessarily him, but I believe that at that point it was him. But that's a very short period of time. And then you have to look at the steps that were taken with and during the 3 flights. And it was, I think, a total of 80. Speaking of, where were the keys to John's house? Well, I think I asked that from the beginning because I wanted to know how he got out that night, because he went and met up with a friend and he Ubered out. So sometimes if I'm not going to even need my keys and I have like a password to get in to my garage, I'm just not even going to bring my keys with me. That way I don't lose them. So I question, did he have his keys? I don't know. But I know that he Ubered out that night. So he didn't have his car. His car was left at his house. And then Karen met him out at the first location, and then they went to the waterfall. But for him to go up in some capacity 3 flights of stairs in that time frame during that small window while he was at this house, I don't know how in the world a jury is going to think that John O'Keefe did not enter that house, which is the testimony of everyone. They're going to say, nobody saw this man inside the house. That's the testimony. And so I don't understand how you don't see somebody, in your house. I think somebody that's going to really royally ruin it is Matt McCabe. He said he's standing by the window watching out the door when they arrive, like at the window. When they can see, he sees them arrive. They already said it in statements that they were invited to be there. Jen McCabe's texting with him. They talk. And by all accounts, she says, pull him behind me. And that's something that's interesting when the whole pull him behind me thing, Karen didn't pull into the driveway. She just pulls up and on the side of the street. So, yeah, they didn't. And I think that they passed up the house, to be honest, because they came from a different way. But if I'm on the jury and you're going to show me these flights of stairs that he went up during that time period, which was 12:21 to 12:23. Unless there's a Stairmaster in the garage or in the driveway that John O'Keefe got on and was just fucking pumping out stairs. I don't know how you're going to get around that. And that's even before you get to House Long to Die. I think I cannot wait to see the Commonwealth's expert say that the defense expert got it wrong on when Jen was Googling these searches. I think that's going to be fucking awesome to hear that. I look forward to that. So I don't I think this type of shit happens every day. What you're seeing in the Karen Reed case, unfortunately, and not that they happen in murder cases, but we're even just talking about fucking drugs or any case out there that you could possibly catch a case on. This shit happens. Now imagine if you were black. This shit happened to you all the time, but especially back in the day. Imagine if you don't have any fucking money. How are you beating this? First of all, how are you getting a lawyer to listen to you, to say, listen, these people are corrupt. These people are this. Like, I didn't do this. These people are corrupt, But thank God this one was just extra sloppy, I think. And I don't see how the Commonwealth wins, but I'm looking forward to literally doing shots at Oscars and horse thieves and what else is over there. I'm gonna get wild up there in Dedham. I'm going to go over there to Legacy. I'm going to take Tom CPU with me, and the first one to tap out loses. We're going to have a chug off. I'm just following Tom around when I get there, just with my camera. All right, Tom, we're going to do a documentary. You ready? There he goes. He's loving it. In fact, we need to do a shot of Jameson right now. We're doing kegs and eggs, so come out. We're tailgating for the truth, right? I'm like, dude, you guys tailgate for the Patriots like badasses. Well, I tailgate for the Browns like badasses. And so we're going to have Cleveland meets, New Englandville. Well, I wanted to call it Pattsville. I mean, you guys are Brady heads, and I love it. I'm a huge fan of Tom Brady. But this should be why people tailgate, man. This is I don't care if people want to say what side you're on. You shouldn't be on a side. Just be whatever the truth is. Because if the truth is that Karen Reed did it, then Karen Reed did it. That's the truth that's going to come out. So we want to tailgate for the truth, and I think it's going to be one of the most watched cases, the trial cases, since O.J. Simpson. This case, and if they let it get wild, you need to have bar bingo with the heads on and the statements of what words are going to come up and what are people going to say, and to see who's getting bingo on their cards. But this has the potential to be a circus if they let it. Karen isn't rich. Oh, $3,000 a month on a PR team. Who's paying $3,000 a month on a PR team? I wouldn't think that Karen needs to pay for any PR. I mean, this is why wouldn't people want to stand up for what's right? You don't have to pay me. If it goes to trial, look out. I almost feel like they're pot committed. It's kind of like you've been bluffing, and now you have no reason. You're going to pull out with a pot full on the river. Why? I mean, it's gone this far. And based off of their 301 pages that they filed, I don't think that they're they're not going to dismiss the case. Well, they're not going to withdraw the charges. The prosecution isn't going to withdraw the charges. If this was to get dismissed by maybe the court finding, but the way that Bev's been ruling, fuck no. She's going to ride or die right on that throne. And I think whether Karen wins or is exonerated or is found guilty, I think that this is lined up for an appeal regardless. So it's almost like, is this trial going to happen twice? I don't know. But love to hear what you guys think. The Commonwealth will look so stupid. It won't be held on the news. If that'll be bad. That's like, I think it's. Her best friend was interviewed. I would love to know who her best friend is. I think anybody will say anything for a couple minutes of fame. So they're not going to call Dana. I think that these people are going to be testifying. I'm simply telling you guys my thought on how do you. Yeah, you can call those people to stand. Or trials are all about strategy. What's going to be your strategy to convict Karen Reed? And I'm telling you, if your strategy is to, ride or die with the people that were inside that house, I don't know if that's a good strategy. I think that they're going to ride hard with these experts, and I think they're going to limit the questions that they're asking of the in-house peeps that were there. So that's now, that doesn't mean that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, when Commonwealth arrests, that they can call anybody they want as a witness.
Don't forget Elizabeth Little, please.
Well, Elizabeth Little, yeah, she's the brains. She's like the Lana brains of the team. Elizabeth Little is a walking, talking dictionary encyclopedia with cases. She's like awesome with dates and timestamps.
Yeah,
she doesn't forget things. She sees it once. I would bet money that she has a photographic memory. So I'm going to be set up live down in Dedham. The way that these guys get there so early, I'm going to have everything ready to go at 7 a.m. I tried to get a permit over there, Tom's CPU. I wanted a parking lot so I could serve beer. And I guess they're just not fond of that in that area. Then I said, let me just Airbnb one of those houses right outside the courthouse, and we'll just have it called an open house. Come on through. And people didn't, I don't know. I don't think they're ready for this tailgate. I guess the last time, have you guys ever watched it in a bar, like turned on like all the TVs and like the sound, and like listen to the hearing in one of those bars down there? Like a sorority house, Tom says. Yes, exactly. And we have it on the televisions, and then, we're streaming it live so that all the sidebars, we can have in News Nation. We can have in Court TV, hey, what do you guys think from your little booths over there in Atlanta, wherever the fuck they're at. Tom wants to have a toga party. We're toga and tailgating. There you go. Is this for Tuesday or for the trial? Well, Tuesday Tuesday's going to be a really huge hearing. That's going to actually probably be the most important hearing that's going to lay the foundation for that case. It's going to tell us a lot. It's going to be, I think, a gem of a piece that Alan Jackson oral argues. So I'm just worried if it gets dismissed, it will be with prejudice. Yeah. I don't see Bev making that call. I don't think Bev wants that on her. So I think if that's the case, there was hell of a lot of stuff out there. She wasn't even letting, when they were putting in pretrial motions to try to get this, these phone records of other people that, just showing the conversations between these, law enforcement agencies / officers with these potential witnesses that were at that house. Bev over here is denying shit left and right. And I believe that they met the burden back in September. She did an order in October of 2022 denying it. And then they kept fighting at it and fighting at it and fighting at it. And, that's why they kept digging for information. You want to put a protection order? Bev is the reason that people kept digging, because Bev denied a motion that should have never been denied on October 15th, 2022. If she never fucking does that, honestly, everything that has happened with the whole Turtle Boy and everything like that, I'm telling you, would not have happened. So I blame Bev. Fuck you, Bev. Beverly, baby. Every time that Beverly says, it's not your turn, Beverly's so quick with that trigger, man. She flies through stuff. You guys know that, right? There is no We're not there yet. I'm going in the order that you put this in. Okay. Like she's just woo. What are the odds of the press conference on the steps? I think that Yannetti and Jackson are done talking until after the trial, personally. They didn't do it the last time, so. What else am I thinking about this? Karen Reed, what else am I expecting on Tuesday? Well, right now they're both blaming each other, and they're saying that they're expert witnesses, the other one's wrong in how they interpreted the data. So if the Commonwealth sticks with that, even though there's not an affidavit in for that expert with the Commonwealth, you just have Adam up there ripping butts saying all these things. At least I can say Alan Jackson and Yannetti, and whenever they're bringing something to the table, they're using affidavits with these folks. So Karen team is lucky they could even say good morning without Bev. Yeah, denying it. That's so true. It's not your turn yet to tell me good morning, damn it. I didn't realize who were joining us today on Zoom. Well, what the fuck, Bev? You're in LA, baby. The judge has seen all the smoke mirrors that defense team plays and seen through it. Look at Delphi. The defense is saying an Odenkirk did it and prison guards made him confess. They filed a 1,500-page Franks hearing. 1,500 pages. And who gives a fuck about all that? What evidence do they have against Richard Allen? Doubtful. But hey, you know what I think? I like when people have their opinions on things, because I'll just say that, Joey, you can continue to be the one that bends over and takes it from what government officials tell you. And I'll just keep on sticking to my brain, the logic, and the evidence. And right now, the evidence shows that John O'Keefe went into that house, period. Right there, if he went into that house, how the fuck does Karen Reed run him over? You know how many people that gave false confessions and then DNA exonerated them down the road? Just saying. I mean, literally, how do you get around? If I'm on the jury, there's steps on here. He's walking around. Then his phone, when he's laying there on the ground dead, his phone's running all over fucking Fairview Ave. Who the fuck? What the fuck? While he is laying there being worked on in an ambulance. It's just all, it's if the cops are using against us digital evidence, we need to start using digital evidence against and for ourselves. And that's what's going to come out in this case, is that the digital evidence, it's in favor of Karen Reed being 100%, leaving that house, and John O'Keefe being well alive. That's the part where they're going to have two experts, and one expert's going to have to say, well, I don't know, his dad, when Karen Reed ran him over, his phone was, because he was going up into the air, and that's what was calculating. That's what I think the only thing that's possible that they could possibly say is that when Karen Reed continued to run him over, that he was flying up high enough that it was calculating these steps. as far as like walking up and reaching altitudes when you're going up. Again, I would put a dummy and I put a phone on there on the body, strap it, put a car, and I would start hitting this dummy to see what it shows on their data, to see if that's even, do a reenactment of that. But I don't know if they're going to try to say that she stopped somewhere before they arrived at, that address, and he was running up and down stairs to, again, there's going to be no way, in my personal opinion, if I'm on the jury, how you're going to say that just that little bit alone. Karen Reed's leaving, okay? But see, the state's not going to talk, or the Commonwealth's not going to talk about that at all. Commonwealth's not going to bring that up, all right? They're not going to bring that up yet. When that's going to come up is just to talk about, they're not going to talk about any of his movements. They don't need to do that. They're only, I believe, going to use their expert for the McCabe shit. And I don't even know how the fuck they're going to do that. So, who are the other two people blood on the tailgate? No clue. The prosecution has also filed, they have data that Karen went back to Fairview before ever calling Carrie and Jen. No, what they have data is that she went to the Waterfall bar. And Karen says that she went out looking for him and then came back. I mean, remember, that's when the whole when she fucks up her taillight. Again, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the prosecution puts on, because remember, this went from being an alleged accidental running of over, to they charge her with murder. So Karen Reed committed murder that night. Okay. Don't give them any ideas that truth. Oh, with what? How they're going to explain that? You guys, you have to be physically on the ground with your feet to be moving and for it to register. Go to Cedar Point, ride roller coasters, and see what fucking it says. I already gave the answer to that. I don't usually speak on something. It's just a matter of what they're going to possibly try to say, and it could the jury be swayed in a way. So I just hope Alan Jackson's ready for that, because I think they're going to try to say something like that. And that's how I always look at something. What are they going to possibly say, and how am I going to be ready for that? So I would have put somebody in a roller coaster, had them on their phone, and let them go up and down and see what happens on that. And remember, the time frame that this happened was a 2-minute time period. And that's actually a long time when we want to talk about hitting somebody and dragging them. Like, that should just take 20, 30 seconds. Right? Oh, yeah, no, I'm taking both. I agree with that, Joey. I'm looking forward to this trial. I just don't like taking a defense team's findings as gospel. No, I don't take them as gospel. I did it all off of my investigation, came straight from law enforcement's reports. That's why everything that I showed in this case, I went back to the beginning, June 10th, 2022, and I stuck from June 10th, 2022, and mainly to February 1st of 2023. So I take all of the stuff that I've done on my spreadsheet, which is out there. I'll share that. It breaks down this timeline, and it's an Excel spreadsheet, and it has a bunch of working parts from all the different people's reports in terms of law enforcement. And I just don't know how or why anybody would take John O'Keefe's cell phone out of his pocket and be contemplating on what to do with it. and be walking all over, and then place it then nowhere on his person, but then be the ones to turn it in. Who turned in John O'Keefe's phone? I just think that's crazy. I think that's crazy. Yeah, who takes a dead cop's phone? Yeah. Nobody. If you came in my home and told me that somebody was dead on my lawn, and you think that I'm not flying outside of my door just to just not be a nosy fucking bitch, then you're insane. So, but it's not news to people if they already knew about it. You know, and I'll also say this, like, Jen McCabe could have been put in a very, very fucked up position. Because like I said, her phone records do not show that she's going up any flights of stairs the whole time she is at that house on 34 Fairview. And I think that's going to be really, really helpful for the prosecution in terms of Jen's credibility when it will come to her saying, I texted him because I didn't see him. Why do you think I continue to text him? Because it's like, he's here, and then like, well, where the fuck are they? You know, where is he? And that's when she says, I figured that he just didn't come in. You know, that's what she's saying. And I'm telling you, I feel like that is what happened up until a certain point. Then she had no choice, because then she was confronted with what the fuck is going on here. You know what I mean? With the aftermath. And her husband and Albert and them saying like, so I'm sad for, oh yeah, absolutely. When I say don't feel bad for it, when I say the word feel bad, I don't think that Jen McCabe fucking caused harm to this guy, okay? Unless we're on that path that she lured him over there. But I think that it was after the fact, and who knows, maybe she had some type of a conscious honor to some point to say how long to die in cold is because she's like, well, maybe he'll wake up and, you know, then he, but I think she kept her mouth shut for her family and had to go along with what it was. What about her watch data? Yeah, it's just as bad. Or her watch data is just as bad. She's up all night. She's up all night. I think she knew what was happening and stood in one place. No, she's definitely moving. She's definitely moving. She's moving throughout the night. She just doesn't go, or she doesn't go up any flights of stairs when she's there. So I don't know how you get out of the basement if you don't go up the stairs. I think this case is super sad. I'll tell you what's super sad about it all is that if O'Keefe's family is just buying everything, like that's awful to be in that type of situation, because you don't want to believe that police officers could ever do this to like one of their own. And 2 years in a federal investigation, and not one person has come out to change the claim that John never went in the house. Well, yeah, because that's, once you say that, then it's over. That's the one thing that you can never say. Once you say that, it's over. That's the one thing that could, once you say that, Karen Reed couldn't have done anything to John O'Keefe. Because let's say that even if she would have hit him or whatever, if he's able to walk in that house, then you would have gotten him help. You know, you would have called the police and called, like, fucking put a APB on that fucking crazy person and go pick her up because, you know, she just tried to fucking run him over. So this is the one part about it that you can't. You say that you saw him in that house, it's curtains. But I do believe that there is some documentation that came back from the federal investigation that is going to be in direct, it's going to contradict something very, very important from one of the witnesses. That's what I think. But yeah, exactly there, Kitty. And they won't ever change that narrative. He can't be in that house ever. That's the point. 100. Because then everything that Karen Reed's innocent then. Yep, I believe that. I believe that there was heavy drinking going on and she didn't remember what truly transpired. And I think that once the people that they were hanging out with realized that, then then what, like, how they were going to go about saying everything changed. And that shows in the police reports when Jen McCabe calls back over the police officers to give a new account, you know. Lena, do you think the civilian witness that was referenced was Jen or someone else, maybe Sarah? I don't know. I just think that I think something very, very valuable came forward to the point that also influenced Bev's reasoning for pushing the trial back. So that should tell you what I think, that she got some, you know, little birdie. Yeah, they're going to have a hard time saying that everything is wrong, you know, because everything is right up to that point. That's the other thing, is everything is right that he does, especially if you can tell me that John O'Keefe, I asked if he's a smoker. If he's a smoker, then even more so that all that shit's accurate. But you can't sit here and say that all throughout the night, everything with his phone, John O'Keefe's phone, is accurate. And the moment that it becomes inaccurate is when they arrive at 34 Fairview. Again, anybody that's going to believe that shit as a juror, shame the fuck on you. And that's why voir dire is going to be so important. It's so important in any case. Those are the people that decide, you know, not us sitting back here, but the people that are going to be on that jury ultimately. And it's just, how the fuck are people, where's people's common sense and logic? I mean, no, this case, there is no way past beyond a reasonable doubt. Can you sit here and say that Karen Reed murdered John O'Keefe? With what we have right now, absolutely not. And anybody out there that says that they can, I believe that you're lying to yourself. I believe that you're lying. There's nothing that we have here that says that Karen is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I'm here for it. Show me. I'm here for it. So, yeah, I always pray for those sensible jurors. You know, I will say this too. Who's to say that I'm gonna put this out there. You know, they were so adamant to go with the fact that I believe they were going to say that John O'Keefe in some capacity was hit by a car, right? It was like either hit and run or by a plow, what have you. Well, what if John O'Keefe was afterwards hit by a car, ran over, just to, you know, to make sure that you seal the deal? It doesn't mean that it's Karen Reed. They're so adamant they were going to go with that he was hit by a car, in my opinion. So and if the tail light actually has O'Keefe's DNA in it, right? And they're able to say that it came from Karen Reed's vehicle, right? Interesting. Oh, I believe they were all drunk. 100%, they were all drunk. The only reason this holds no weight to me, Joey, is and I said it earlier. There's one person statement that makes that pretty much impossible. And it's right here. Ryan Nagel's testimony, grand jury testimony, however, completely undermines the Commonwealth's theory by confirming that Mr. O'Keefe had already left the vehicle and the surrounding area before Miss Reed could possibly have initiated a three-point turn, striking Mr. O'Keefe in the head with the back of her vehicle. To be clear, no witness suggested they observed Miss Reed strike Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle, injure him in any way, make a three-point turn, or otherwise drive erratically on the night in question. Not one. The Commonwealth's theory is predicated entirely on flimsy speculation and presumption, underpinned by a questionable investigation and highly. So check this out. Then you go to what he testified to the grand jury, which is right here. When he arrived to pick up his sister, but she wouldn't leave, Mr. Nagel testified that the SUV was never in park because he specifically recalls that the brake lights were activated the entire time. Eventually, unable to convince his sister to get into the car and leave the party, he and his friends left. As they pulled past the SUV, they saw her, meaning somebody consistent with what Reed looks like. Okay, she was in the driver's seat of the vehicle with the interior lights of her car on in her hands at 10 and 2. Mr. Nagel testified that he did not see a passenger inside the vehicle or anywhere else in the surrounding area of the vehicle. He further testified that he did not observe any damage to the vehicle and testified that the car's taillights were intact and undamaged. You cannot change your testimony from what you testified to at the grand jury. And if you do, well, then you committed perjury at some point. You're either lying now or you're lying then. Okay. But this right here, this is so significant for, it's going to hurt the prosecution, and it's going to heavily help the defendant here, Karen Reed, because this is a timeline of events. He's not in the car. She says that she was waiting for him. That's consistent. He gets out of the car. She's waiting for him. So, and then what I think is going to be very, very damaging is this. And if this is proven to be 100% true, they are fucked. Which is right here. Julie Albert basically telling an officer and slipping up and saying that at 4:55 a.m. she received a call from Jennifer McCabe. And she accidentally slips, and this is how she says that she found out about John dying when her phone woke her up at 4:55 a.m. to a call from Jennifer McCabe. You can't keep the lies straight, and that's why you're going to have conflicting statements, unless they're going to try to say, no, I said that she called me, but I didn't answer. Well, how does it come out that you would have known that? I mean, how are you going to walk this back? This is fucking unbelievable. And there is a phone call then. There is a phone call then. This is a filing app. This was a filing on September 15th, 2022 that was based on discovery and the fact of wanting more. Alan Jackson said he's coming to file hella more 14 and 15 or 14 and 17 motions in pursuant to with the Massachusetts rules of criminal procedure in 14 and 17. And that's what this is from. I go back to the beginning and I'm not interested in all the hoopla. I'm interested in the facts of the case. Okay. Let it slip. Yeah, she let it slip. There's a report that's stating that. No? Let's take a look at this. Let's go back to this. How you're going to be able to explain, okay, that you went to the crime scene on the 29th, the 3rd, the 4th, the 8th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 18th, and how you're going to explain that this stuff, all of this stuff was there still. It would be one thing if you went back to a crime scene and you got something different each time. Like if you went here on this time and you got everything on this date was everything surrounding the glass pieces. Then on this date, you were able to see that when you went back there, John's hat was blown. It was in between two bushes, and then this, you know, when you're back out there that you went and did this. But to try to sell me on the fact that it took you this long and this many attempts to go gather the same area, the same crime, the same item, basically. The fuck? I think the defense will stick to that, and I agree. I don't think that the defense is coming in here with and going to show a conspiracy. I think they're doing their job right now, as they should be for being Karen Reed's attorneys, to say that this shouldn't even go forward. But so I think it's going to be hard for the O'Keefe family to listen to this. You understand that? Like, to be in there and listening to this trial. Let's see. I don't even think, I think this is going to be a really good person that testifies, Lucky. Okay, I think that his statements, again, look at these dates. On February 15th, 2022, I want to know if that's a typo. Again, no body there. See. Let's see what we got. So, and Lally is trying to say the worst thing possible. Yeah, I want to hear, I want to see it all. But I don't know how in the world you're going to be able to explain this to a jury and then possibly say, excuse me? Well, let's see what else. Yeah, I would just leave. If you just stick to the facts of January 29th to February 1st of 2023, all of that back and forth show with the data, with the phones, it's gonna be hard to tell me that John O'Keefe didn't enter that house. it's going to be hard to explain to me how it wasn't until after you had an hour and 18 minutes alone with this vehicle, of which you lied in an affidavit of what time the tow actually took place. Then we see what then transpired after you had this time, and that you had to like conceal what times you were truly there. And, but then this is what then came about because of that. But then prior to, nothing was found. I mean, you're going to have a hard time explaining this. And the answer is you can't explain it. And this enough to me is reasonable doubt. This enough to me, the only thing tying Karen Reed as far as DNA goes to that crime scene is the taillight. And right here, this filed September 15th, 2022, showing and pointing out that, wait a second, these tests that you're giving us back are from items, and one of them is from this. Okay, well, we need to point out something here. We believe that that was planted. We believe that it was planted because the only thing that was ever found was the glass, was a clear broken drinking glass and 6 frozen blood drops, which they placed in over-the-counter red Solo plastic cups. That's what was found. And then it wasn't until, all of this, and it was from this testing then that took place from collecting these dates with the samples, okay? It all came from, you had 1 hour and 18 minutes alone with this vehicle, and you tried to downplay how much time you had by go ahead and writing on your affidavit a different time. So that to me, is, if I'm a juror, if I literally am going to convict, this is the only one piece that has DNA, and it was off of this submission, okay? And it was when somebody was alone with a car, and then it was then alone waiting where it was to be processed, which then they had access to then all the rest of these days. So that's how I got there. I didn't get there listening to Karen Reed go on a 9-minute broadcast on ABC saying that she didn't do it. No. I got it from the filings and the phone data. They made it to that house, and he made it inside that house and traveled 3 flights of stairs while in that house in a 2-minute period. So I think what's going to be interesting is the strategy that the prosecution takes to try to win this case. And I just don't see one. I know what I would try to do, but I don't see the defense is clearly going to put on a defense. They're not just going to, rest after the prosecution rests. That's not going to fucking happen in this case. And I think that the personality of Karen Reed, she's probably instructed her attorneys, like, yeah, no, I want to go after this person. I want them to perjure themselves. And then when I'm acquitted, I want to see that these people are criminally charged at the very least on perjury. So if you don't think that would be my goal if I'm Karen Reed, and people that try to fucking put me away in prison for the rest of my life for something that I didn't do and that they actually fucking had a hand in, fuck you, I'm coming for your fucking throat. That's how I see Karen Reed. Karen Reed has the biggest chip on her shoulder, and it comes off in a way that, hey, you might not want to come off that way in front of jurors or whatever, but I don't fault Karen Reed for how she feels. These people fucked with her life, right? How would you be? And I see the evidence for what it is, and why you think that you're going to go back to a crime scene on February 18th and that you are still picking up Proctor secured clear and red plastic pieces of plastic on February 18th? Why? When you tested the shit with stuff coming back already that wasn't positive for Karen's DNA or for John O'Keefe's DNA? So, Writes On says, in my opinion, if Karen Reed did kill John O'Keefe and gets off, the only people to blame is the police and DA. What a disgrace. John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer, and this is how you investigate his murder. Horrible. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself right there. And again, this is another case where the victim is lost in the whole thing. I think Karen Reed has a huge civil case on her hands. So they've done irreparable harm to Karen Reed. Well, I want to be compensated for everything that I've been through. Yeah. That's why I almost feel like a trial has to happen so that she can be exonerated. Okay. I don't want fucking dismissal. And then if you guys go around saying I got off on a technicality and all that bullshit, oh, fuck you. Go forward. Let's go. You know, especially if they have some smoking guns with the federal investigation brought back. I would want all of these motherfuckers held accountable, and I wouldn't stop until that happened, right? But at what expense? Just sue the fucking county, sue the police department, settle, get some millions, and literally go on and live a life. Because to let these people deteriorate at your health, at what cost, you know? I think it's phenomenal the amount of people that have rallied around Karen Reed, and I know that Turtle Boy brought it to the national stage. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think Turtle Boy's crossed lines, but I'm telling you, if Bev would have been granting motions when she should have been back in October of 2022, half of the shit, if not all of the shit, would have never happened. Again, that's my personal opinion. I believe that they met their burden to have the shit that they were seeking way back in September of 2022. And good old Bev stuck it up their fucking ass. And so good old Bev can deal with the fallout that's about to fucking happen in April. But I'm going to be there, and we're going to be there, and we're covering this completely fairly. Because if the prosecution goes up in that motherfucker and starts swinging and laying this, that, and the other, and you're telling me that Alan Jackson and Yannetti have been just lying out of their dicks, I'll be the first person to call them out. I don't give a fuck. You know, tell the truth. Do I feel like that's the case? No, unless you were able to tamper with the fucking Cellbrite data that I looked at, then no. So, you know, we will see Bev next Tuesday. Yeah, Bev better be banging. Let's take a bet on what Bev's wearing. I'm gonna go with black. Who's gonna wear more black, Bella or Bev? Make sure you guys get to the tailgate. We're tailgating for the truth. Truth and Transparency will be there in person, all up and down Washington Street. We're going to be right there, Main High. We're going to be, then we're going to take everybody once we are done and the court will be in session. We are going to be tailgating at a location with the screens on, the TV screens on, the volume on, and I'm going to be running it through my YouTube channel so that we can have guests be on the mic. And and possibly, log on from other locations. So, but I know that Bella's best friends with Bev. Just totally kidding. Oh my God, yeah, I wish I could be there. I want to know where H-Bag is. I talk about Karen Reed and H-Bag's nowhere to be found. People don't want to hear the truth. Yeah. But I want it to be kept to the facts, So I appreciate you guys all popping in here for a 2-hour segment. And, you guys rock. The truth will prevail one way or another. So until next time, guys, be kind to one another. Out. Give much love to